Homeschooling gives us the incredible opportunity to slow down, get to know our own needs and our children's needs, and shape every little thing that we can, from the way we approach learning to our environment. I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Hi, I'm Janelle, homeschooling mom of 4. My entire family is neurodivergent. I have ADHD. In particular, my 9-year-old son really needs that extra support, and I want to share with you the top 20 accommodations that we are using to make homeschooling really work for us. Not only just so we can avoid power struggles and stress and difficulties, but also to really optimize learning conditions and optimize the brain for learning as well. Every brain is different, so as you're listening to these, just think how things are for you, your family, your brains. Most of these are physical, tangible, but the first one I want to discuss with you is my own mindset. So this accommodation looks like me keeping an open mindset, not making judgments, and not questioning. This also looks like a ton of patience. Because I have ADHD and I grew up hearing how my mom should put me on ADHD medication, just hearing adults constantly being frustrated with the way my brain works, I have developed a lot of patience. And not just automatically assuming that anybody is trying to be difficult, not assuming that anybody's trying to be questioning in a disrespectful way. I ask a ton of questions. I just really need to understand things. And the open mindset comes with slowing down to try to simply hear how their brain is working, even if you don't understand. An example of this is my son was doing a math problem. I had to really stop and pause because it was one of those moments where my initial reaction was, I know you're smart. I know you know the answers to these questions. What is going on here? Why are you not just writing down the answer? Well, it was because there were 2 questions in one question and only one space. And he didn't understand where to put the answers in that one space. So what I did was I actually made a line for him so that there were 2 sections for each answer. And he even asked me, do I have to write it that big? Because of the space that line created made a very big space on each side. And I said, no, sweetie, just write it normal. But this is where we shouldn't judge. This is where we have to learn to push aside any initial reactions, stop, pause, be patient, and not questioning them when they want to do things a certain way. The second accommodation is comfy chairs. I have these big chairs that actually allow us to sit cross-legged. They're really squishy, really cozy. We've got blankets on them. We definitely don't like to sit normally. And this leads to the third accommodation of allowing homeschooling to kind of happen anywhere. So even though we've got the big cozy chairs, my son will often push the chair away. He likes to stand and work a lot, and the other day I even found him sitting on the floor and working. I asked him why he was sitting on the floor. He said, I like to. And just again, back to the mindset, it's not questioning or getting triggered by these little things. So maybe that looks like completely leaving our office space. We have really started to do our weekly dictation outside. He also has beanbag chairs in his bedroom, so he'll take reading to the beanbags. Sometimes he just wants to come out to the couch. He sometimes really needs to feel like he's back part of the family. He doesn't want to feel like he's being pushed into a room all alone. And even though I feel like that's so much more distracting to be out in the living room, I just let it go. And, I've seen him get their reading done. It's really interesting. So neurodivergent brains, we crave novelty, and being in one space for too long can start to feel really stressful. So moving from place to place per subject happens a lot. I get it. Me as an ADHD homeschooling mom, that's one of the reasons we started doing dictation outside, is that's one of our last subjects. And by the time they get there, I'm even tired of the office. And I'm like, let's take this outside, guys. Let's go. Number 4 is open bins. Their curriculum is in an open bin where they can easily access it. The thing is the more friction, the more overwhelm, the more stress, the less likely it's going to get done. A good tip is to count how many steps does it take. So if you have to get out of the chair, walk to the shelf, pull down a bin, put the bin on the desk, take the lid off, dig through the bin, get it out, put the lid back on, put it back, you get the point. This is so many steps. It's so many. So by having the books already there on the desk, already open, no steps, just pick it up and you're ready. A lot of the times for my son especially, I even get his schedule out, open it up to the page, find it for him, read it to him. I reduce friction as much as possible. I read him the steps. This probably could have been another separate accommodation, is that I will go to lengths to do some of these things for him because I know how easily it is to get overwhelmed. So I'm constantly reducing friction. It might be finding the page of the book that he needs, anything like that. And I really don't see it as laziness. I see it as this accommodation of making things more accessible and more easy for him. So reducing steps and reducing overall friction. I noticed when he was younger, letting him sit on my lap to eat meals, and probably for further into his age than normal, really helped him get his meal down. If he was just simply not eating for whatever reason, even though I knew he was hungry, I would just pull him onto my lap and suddenly he would eat his meal. I do believe this has to do with just regulating the nervous system, making him feel safe. And so if I notice he's having a lot of trouble getting started with homeschooling, at 9 years old, I will still pick him up, put him on my lap, read through the instructions, just going through things with him. Physically sitting there and being with him helps him so much. Number 7 is audiobooks. Our curriculum is Bookshark, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's reading and worksheets. We have actually found for free at our library the audio versions of these books. So you can check the audio discs and you can also check the library's app to see if your homeschooling books are recorded on audio. It's a great hack to be looking at the words on the book and listening at the same time. This helps so much. Number 8 is I help keep his desk clean. I have noticed how overwhelmed he gets if his desk is a mess, and same. It's like when the kitchen is a mess for me, it feels so difficult to get started. You know you need to go in there and you know that cleaning is going to change it, but it's just so overwhelming and stressful that it's hard to even walk in there, and you will start mopping the floors before you go clean the kitchen, right? On top of reducing the desk clutter, number 9 is reducing noise clutter. So I try to keep dishwashers, vacuums, washers and dryers. I try to keep that stuff outside of homeschool hours. I cannot even stand the sound of the air purifiers we have. I let the air purifiers run all night, and then when I wake up in the morning, I immediately unplug it or turn it off because it drives me insane. So again, check in with you and your child because you never know what could be super triggering to them, even if you would never even notice the sound of an air purifier. Number 10 also has to do with sound, and this is headphones with soundscapes. This could be classical music, but I especially love isochronic and binaural beats. These actually tune the frequencies of your brain and can induce that flow state. So they are fantastic. The next is focus timers, and these work depending on the subject. So if you're reading, you definitely don't want a timer going off and telling you to stop and interrupting that focus. But I find the focus timers really, really helpful for worksheets. I know me and my family, we really have that time distortion where it feels like it's gonna last forever. And the timers, instead of putting pressure on our brains, it helps us understand that the 20 minutes is gonna go by and be over, that there will be an end. So when you think, I need to get this worksheet done, it feels kind of indefinite. But when you see a 20-minute timer and you see, oh wow, yeah, I know this worksheet's actually probably only going to take me 10 minutes. I can see the time going down. I know that it's going to be over. I hope that makes sense for you. If it doesn't, just try it because it might make sense for your child. I do this a lot with my 6-year-old for cleaning. He feels like cleaning is going to take forever. He literally says, this is going to take forever. And I'm sure you've heard that as a parent. And so I don't turn on timers as a sort of punishment. I don't say, you need to get it done in 5 minutes. It's like, dude, this is really going to take us 5 minutes. Let's set a 10-minute timer to give us plenty of time just in case it takes us a little bit longer. And look, we're going to be done in 10 minutes. And you know what? If we're not done in 10 minutes, let's just see how much we can get done in that time frame. And suddenly they start cleaning, they start doing, and it's the same for me. If I feel really overwhelmed with the kitchen, I will turn myself on a 15-minute timer. So I can tell myself, Janelle, just clean for the next 15 minutes. And if you need to stop after 15 minutes, fine. There's some neuroscience around this, just the getting started part. And then when that timer goes off that says, hey, you can finish, because you've built that momentum, you actually, a lot of the time, will keep going past that 15-minute timer. So this can even work with a 5-minute timer. So focus timers can really help in the right way. There is also neuroscience to back up what's called a Pomodoro technique. And this is where you work 25 minutes on and you take a 5-minute break. And so my children knowing and myself know that, hey, at the end of this 25 minutes, I'm going to get a break. And that's actually the best thing for my brain, is to not push through that 25 minutes. This has to do with how much your brain can really handle in one sitting. Really takes the stress off, because, a child with 4 subjects in front of them, again, it's going to feel like this is going to take forever. Number 12 is I have 2 swings and a climbing gym in my house. One is a yoga swing, so the material is hard. It doesn't stretch, but it does hammock out. And there's so much research on the benefits of swinging for children. I know a parenting coach who did a video on the science of swings. I can link that below as well. She's who convinced me to get them. And then I got the teardrop stretchy swing. And this one is really good for that enveloping, and they spin in that one a lot. So both provide different sensory input. During those breaks, they really love to come to the swings for a nervous system recharge. And then there's so much research behind the climbing with muscle strength and really seeing BDNF in the brain, which brings me to 13, unlimited breaks. The motto in my house is we just have to keep making progress. So if they feel like they need to swing or climb, or I have a trampoline outside, if they feel like they need to go jump, they are more than welcome. I never fully tell them no. Sometimes I say, well, hey bud, you only have a paragraph left. Can you please read this paragraph first? And we'll see how he responds. And if he's like, no, I need to move, then I just remind him, well, just don't forget that you are going to have to come back and finish it. So it's always progress and creating an environment that really supports those sensory input needs. 14 is gum and snacks, which is a hard no in school. This is why I love homeschooling, on top of the, swings inside and unlimited breaks and comfy chairs. I love that we can do these things that are proven to help, like chewing gum is so proven to help with focus. I really wanted to have a hard no on food in the office, but my son, he insists that munching on some walnuts or cashews or something really, really helps him. Number 15 is supplements to reduce anxiety, support that nervous system, support focus and cognitive function. One of the best supplements for cognitive health is omegas. We do try to get those in naturally as much as we can. Adding smoked salmon or avocado to your breakfast is really, really great. But for our neurodivergent brains, after reading all of the research, we made sure to start supplementing omegas. I was so happy I found a kids one that I absolutely love. It tastes like mango. It's a liquid. My kids actually always ask for more. They love it so much that they are upset they're only allowed 1 spoonful. And I have caught my children trying to sneak their omega. It's funny, we call it fish juice. So it's this thing that brings us great joy in our house, and it makes me so happy knowing how good it is for their brains. I will link that supplement below. I have an omega gel tab that I take myself. There are also some other supplements that they take. I found these mood chews at Sprouts that have GABA and L-theanine. If you haven't done a ton of research on supplementation. In the description below, you will also find a link to my morning mastery training. It has an entire supplement section in it. The biggest thing I want parents to understand with supplementation is functional dose. Marketers love to put an ingredient on the front label that you might know is good. So let's say they put magnesium and L-theanine on the front label. But then when you turn the label around, it doesn't tell you how much of each ingredient is in there. So they might be putting just enough to say it's in there, but not enough to get the cognitive benefits that you need. And I've seen this time and time again, and it's really disappointing. And so people try supplements and they think that they don't work, but it's just that they're not getting a functional dose. In that morning mastery training, we go over mindset for parenting, leadership and communication and skills. I go over my entire morning routine for optimizing biology, my entire supplement protocol, teaching you guys those things like functional dose. It's absolutely loaded with information. It's within my Health First homeschool community. I hope to see you there and hear from you there. One of those aspects of our morning routine is the next accommodation, number 16, which is no alarm clocks. I let my children sleep until their body naturally wakes up. This is so important for so many reasons. I know you know sleep is important. The quality of the sleep is important. And as our children change ages, their circadian rhythm shifts. So respecting how much their body needs is so important for the brain, especially a neurodivergent brain that is already struggling. You don't want to impair cognitive function anymore by taking away much needed sleep. So please ditch the alarm clocks. They also create a stress response when they wake us up. It's terrible. Let's not start the day with cortisol and disrupted sleep, okay? This goes for anybody. Number 17 is lots of hugs. Again, it's that nervous system regulation. And I want to disclaimer here for me, if I'm overwhelmed, I do not want to be touched. This is another area where you really need to lean into you and your child. I get really triggered when my family tries to comfort me with physical affection. I hate it. I need to calm down alone first. And I need to already be regulated before I can do physical affection. But my son is super touchy-feely and he needs the closeness. He needs the touch. It's helping him focus. So he gets unlimited hugs. Another great reason I love homeschooling. 18 is a hands-on curriculum. And you might not think of books and worksheets as hands-on, but it totally is. Last year, we tried online, and again with the alarms, having an alarm going off telling you need to stop everything you're doing to get on a class, it creates this cortisol spike. It didn't work for us. And then, trying to pay attention to the screen, books actually are hands-on, and neuroscience has proven this. Holding the weight of the book, feeling the pages get heavier on one side than the other. It is a physical, multi-sensory experience. This is hands-on learning. And the schedule being on paper and being able to physically read and cross off what we're doing that day has helped both me with my ADHD. I could not handle managing Google Classroom and notifications. I don't do well with digital. I cannot do digital calendar blocking. I need physical lists, physical calendars. I need the real world. And it's the same for my son for sure. So hands-on curriculum, which brings me to the next, self-paced. It gave my son so much overwhelm and anxiety to have due dates with the online curriculum. This allows us to go at our own pace. Like I mentioned earlier, we are very much, let's just keep making progress. We absolutely value physical health, mental health, family connection. We really prioritize those things first. I do tell my children and communicate to them that learning is part of being healthy and keeping our brains healthy. So that's how that fits in there, even though health is our number one priority. Strong family relationships and education is part of being healthy. So that's how I frame our entire life. If somebody's having a hard day or we get sick, or there's holidays or family functions going on, we just don't stress over it. And we look at the calendar and we say, when can we pick back up next time? And last but definitely not least is diet. And this goes two different ways. Because while accommodations are about being flexible, I also had to be stricter on him and our entire family, knowing what I know about things like food allergies, gluten, red dye 40, processed foods, preservatives, all of these things, and their impacts on our brains. I don't want to make things harder. So much information out there about the gut-brain axis and gut bacteria influencing our neurological foundations. It's that neurobiology that we can't ignore despite needing to make diet accommodations. So I had to create a more restrictive diet in an accommodating way. Part of that was having him sit on my lap while we tried new foods, while he ate what was on my plate. Having lots of conversations explaining why. That's one of my things. I question a lot. I want to know why. So explaining to him what gluten does to our bellies and our brains and food allergies, and talking to him about poop and all of these things, explaining why and treating him like he's competent really helped. And then there was finding the foods that he would like. So for a long time, this looked like making his eggs an extra special creamy way, and it was the only way he would eat them. We kept trying new foods, and we found out that he loves avocado. So this really goes both ways, with being both having boundaries on what you will allow your child and family to eat, and being flexible with how they get prepared, how they're consumed. When he was really young, I would even feed him in the bathtub sometimes. That comfort of the tub allowed him to relax enough to eat. If any of this has been helpful for you, if you have any questions, leave me a comment. Please come join us in my Health First Homeschool community. I'm really excited to start having more of these conversations and seeing how I can help other homeschool families make these accommodations, make these changes in their family so that everybody can function healthier, happier, and even get smarter. The link is in the description below. Everything is free. I will see you there.